You know, it's a Monday win. Okay. So that was a good start. Tell you what, I'm going to do this. We're just going to do this all over again. Tempo sounded faster the second time I pushed it. Anyway, okay. Yeah, it is Monday. All right. So here's the deal. First off, this week is going to be a little bit more chaotic than normal because of dealing with the high school soccer championships in addition to the normal stuff. So you're going to see our normal guests and the drifting in and out of high school soccer coaches who are on planning periods that can't make, or because of scheduling conflict, could not make the noon show this week. So you're going to get this wide range of Georgia high school soccer coaches chasing after championships, our regular guests, our regular coverage, and so on, and the noon show. So that's where we are this week. Example, today, it's going to be Abe coming up in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to go through Atlanta United coverage. Then Bart's going to join us at 10, and we do have things to discuss there with Bart. I wanted to discuss his last show from the Soccer for US POD about Matt Crocker. We do have Yanks Abroad, and we do have Fotis Bazakis and the larger picture. No, I am not making a correlation immediate from one to the other, although we did discuss game state, and we'll get into that. 10:40, is it 10:30 or 10:45? 10:45. Judson Hamby, the head coach of Oconee County's girls AAA finals. He's going to be joining us at 10:45. He was originally going to join us at 9:30, but because of meetings he had to be in as a teacher, that got pushed back to 10:45. So it's going to be this mix all week long. Like tomorrow, Kadani McAlpine is going to join us from the University of Georgia at 9:30. We're going to talk about soccer between the hedges. KCD is going to be with us. And then we're going to have high school coaches at 10:30, and Steve Hellier, the head coach from Whitfield Academy's boys, is going to join us at 10:30, and then we've got the noon show. So it's going to be like this all week, just to kind of give you the heads up. So we're going to go over Atlanta United. We're going to go over some really special highlights on opening kickoff, which will probably be after Abe at this point, considering I spent my first 2.5 minutes muted myself. And we got highlights, we've got posts, we got things to get into, we got morning news, we got all the things. SOT tonight might be a little early, and because there's a lot to get into there with pro-rel and teams qualifying and coming back out of the National League and all those highlights and Old Firm and all the stuff. So keep your ears peeled. It might be 7 o'clock start and go 7 to 9 max, because we've got to get back into the swing of things when it comes to picks of the week and all that. And I'm debating deadline for season 1 for picks of the week is going to be after the end of the regular season in Major League Soccer. So then World Cup would be the start of stage 2. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the deadline there. That's kind of where we are this week. We're going to be bouncing around with a bunch of different guests, anchoring with the high school coverage, and the noon show is going to have the high school coverage all week long as we're chasing after the championships. Okay, 9:12. So now it's time to bring in our buddy Abe Gordon to bust everything out for yet another week. Proper hydration, as always, is encouraged here, especially on Reaction Mondays, kind of like the ones that we had. So where is it? Where's the hydration sensation? Is it the big old tub?
Yeah, I got the jug here ready to roll.
All right. So, sir, now that we've had a couple of days to kind of sit and think about it, are you still as frustrated as you were when we were talking about things in the post-game show on Saturday night?
Yeah, I don't know if it's pure frustration because it's not directed at any individual or the performance. It's just frustration with the result. This was very clearly one of your better efforts of the season. You really did have complete control, dominated this game, and it all comes crashing down within 10 minutes of you actually taking the lead there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get a great goal from Jay Fortune after a little tomfoolery in the first half prevented you from scoring. We'll use that word, right?
Sure.
Anything stronger, I might be given a yellow card.
Dude, we can run the E rating. It's all right. That's why we're here.
But look, you played really well. You score, I think it was in the 69th minute.
Nice.
And then by the 79th minute, you're down 2-1. And you just couldn't recover. And it's really frustrating because you played 70 really good minutes, 10 bad minutes, and it cost you the 3 points. And it was an important 3 points. This is not a powerhouse LA Galaxy team like we've seen long time ago, years past. It's your last home game for a long stretch here. And you're unable to climb up the table because of that, unfortunately. But look, I thought you saw some really nice performances. You weren't able to get a goal in the first half when you were really dominant. You were still dominant early in the second half. You finally got one after the subs were made, but then it fell apart. Yeah, it's a mistake. I get that. You want to blame Moyamba, that's fine. I blame Elias Baez equally, if not more. I do not think he defended it properly multiple times. I think he had a chance to prevent it, and twice didn't do what I think was required to prevent that first goal. And then obviously the second goal is just a bit of pinball bad luck. It's an outstanding first shot save by Hoyos, and just kind of ricochets and is sitting there, unfortunately. So tough luck on the second goal, bad defending on the first goal, and you lose 3 points.
Yep. And so you finish the mega homestand to start the season off with 3 wins out of your first 12, and you hit this point of the season, and obviously you wanted more points than you got from home. You wrap up 2-5-1 at home to kick things off here, and we're at the 1/3 mark of the season, and you are 2 wins out of the playoff spot right now. But like I said, we're a third of the way in the season. You're 2 wins out of it. There's still room to improve, but you're going to have to do it on the road now.
Yeah, and look, that's the challenge. You've already built some confidence by getting a road win this season, and if anything, you have seen over the last 5-6 games the performance is better. The results have been what they've been. You've won a couple, you lost a couple, you probably could have won. Not able to find a draw here or there as well. It just you got to keep finding ways to perform at that level and hope the results match up. I think we have seen some good stuff from this team. And at times you've been able to capitalize, to score. Once you do that, then maybe you can get yourself in motion. You would have liked to have seen more than one goal in the first 70 minutes where you had the better play. When you don't get multiple goals, when you don't build a buffer, right? When you don't build the ability to make mistakes, then that's what happens. And your first serious mistake ended up leaving you equalize, and then the response from there was not great. And so they've gone on the road before. That's the challenge that lays ahead of them. And you just hope that as we've built through the season, as we've gotten more of what Tata wants out of this team, that it will translate, it will showcase itself on the road. But, with the upcoming schedule, I'm as way more focused on U.S. Open Cup against Orlando and what this team decides to do, in 8 days than necessarily what the upcoming road MLS schedule is. I know they play Orlando in MLS first,
right,
and then U.S. Open Cup. And I've mentioned this to you before. If I can only have one win, make it Tuesday.
Yeah. Now that we're at this point of the season, I kind of want to get your report card here. When you look at some of the standouts from what you've seen, I guess this would be like the stars that we would get when we were in elementary school. Who gets gold stars for you at this point of the season, 1/3 in?
I think Alexi certainly is right up the top there. I think do I have an unlimited amount, or do I only have a couple to give out here?
No. This is for the entire class. How many you can get gold stars over.
Look, and people may be frustrated with one or two of these names because mistakes do get made at times. Certainly Alexi gets a gold star. I think Cooper gets a gold star. Cooper Sanchez. I would give Moyamba a gold star. I think there is a lot of concern about what the midfield was going to be, and I don't know if I necessarily had him as part of it, but I think he has been very good. I do think last game he got tired, and he got tired early. And I was telling Maddie, he needs to come out of this game. He's exhausted. A couple minutes later, he made a mistake, and that was that. But I think he's been outstanding, and probably Thomas Jacob as well. I probably would say just those four. Yeah, probably just those four.
Okay, so
and even Jacob and Tristan are stretching it a little bit. I mean, Alexi for sure. Cooper. If you wanted to cut me off there, I could, but I'll give Tristan and Jacob one as well.
No, well, and I think that to that point, you were looking at Tristan and Thomas Jacob as individuals who are trying to figure out how Tata wants things to go within offensive push and then coming back and defending within this system. And so there's the learning curve that's attached to it from the beginning of the season. And I think that as the season has gotten to this point, you look at Tristan, I think Tristan has grown into that role that Tata has wanted him to have. And Thomas Jacob becoming acquainted with Atlanta United in general, and then with what he's looking for, what Tata is looking for from Tomas from the right-hand side to go ahead and engage and do the runs and all of that, and be active from a right back position, be active offensively and come back and help out as well to get all those mileages in. I think that to your point, there's the adjustment that has been made. And as we've gotten over these last couple of matches with the win streak and such, you've gotten to see them more comfortable with the demands that are in this system.
Well, and the other thing you got to remember for Jacob is believe, it feels like forever ago, but he actually did start for this team in the midfield before kind of settling into the right back position. And I know when he was brought in, there was a little bit of he's probably going to be a wing back, but he could be used in the midfield. He actually started in the midfield. A lot of that was due to, again, the same questions I had with Moyamba, and we hadn't really gotten Cooper involved just yet. Mm-hmm. Jay wasn't healthy yet. And so what are you doing in the midfield? He was one of your prospective answers. This is before you had brought in a couple of other guys. And so then he gets moved to right back and has to figure it out there. He missed a game or two due to his own injuries, if I remember correctly. And so, he's just now hitting his stride. I think started to see some good things there. I've always liked Steon. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think you're seeing some good things from Steon. I liked a couple of individual defensive moments that we saw from him on Saturday night as well. So, yeah, look, it's gotten better. There's no question it's gotten better. We're still left with the ultimate question up top, which is how are you scoring goals? Saba came really close a couple of times. But I'll be honest, as much as I really liked what Saba was doing, that cut in on to put it on the right foot is getting predictable. And he feels like he's a little bit too easy to defend if he refuses to ever cut to his left and use his left foot. So maybe there's something else that you can figure out there, but that's getting a little bit predictable, unfortunately, because he can be very dangerous. But we've seen him be dangerous more often on the left cutting in than from the right with the exact same move that he tries 5, 6, 7 times a game. But I still like Saba. That's just me. But, Latte Love came close to scoring. He was well off sides. It was the right call, but the idea was there. It's been better, but ultimately you got to get more than one goal when you're the better team for 70 minutes. That's what's cost you in games before, and it's what cost you on Saturday. And so, look, we can talk about Cooper in the midfield. That's great. We can talk about Jacob down the back line. That's great. But if you're not getting it done up front, one mistake costs you all 3 points. And that's unfortunately to some extent what happened Saturday. And so you got to find a way to score. That's still there. Unfortunately, it's gotten better than it had to when it felt like we were 3-4 games, clean sheeted, but it's still not where it needs to be for a team that plays at the level of game control that they have had over the past, 4 or 5 games.
All right. So Orlando this weekend and Tuesday. And as we've discussed, you're 3 wins away right now from being in CONCACAF Champions Cup next year. I'm looking at and now you're working backward. You're like, give me first choice against Orlando next Tuesday, and then Saturday it kind of is what it is, working backward. Yeah.
That's how I would play it. And I understand you're one for the other sort of thing. But yeah, it just whatever you need to do to focus on Tuesday is where I'm at. And if that means that you're handing 3 points to Orlando, that's fine. We got to be honest about what's going on in MLS this season and where you are and what you could do versus, anyone can win a game here, a game there, right? And so if I want that one game here or there, it needs to be in U.S. Open play right now. So, yeah, I do whatever you have to do. Don't show too many cards, I guess, if you want to say it that way on Saturday. But, look, if you could go out there and get a win, that's great. But I don't want that to come at the expense potentially of Tuesday. And so you kind of have to work backwards, figure some things out. So we'll see how they play it. It's not an easy discussion to have because of where you are, right? If you're sitting 4th or 5th in MLS, you could sit here and say, man, we'll throw out whatever squad. If we happen to get a draw on the road, that'd be awesome. If we lose 3 points, and so be it, we'll focus. You're down towards the bottom here. You're looking at wooden spoon discussion, and so you don't ever want to throw points away. But personally, if it comes at the expense of a win on Tuesday, I'm all for it.
Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app dropping by. I am his humble tag team partner for the full-time report that happens after matches on the home side of things. He has to put up with me at home, and he gets the better explanations in the dulcet tones of Madison Cruz for Five Stripes Countdown and for the road games at Colony Square. It has been interesting when it comes to development. We've seen the younger players for Atlanta United. It's and I'll say younger because of Jay Fortune with his experience, Luke Brennan with his experience, Cooper Sanchez getting regular minutes, Will Riley coming off an injury, finally getting back into the discussion, Matt Edwards coming off an injury, getting back into the discussion for the depth at the back line. This is what you need, but it has been proof positive of what the build has been for Atlanta United with the academy to have 4, if not 5 players available to you from your academy, making those kinds of inroads. And it's just one of those things where this is why this was here. And you're getting to see that to this point of the season on a bunch of different fronts. And now that every one of those 5 is healthy, you get to see them make sure that they can have their input as well in this discussion.
Yeah, and the next question is contract status. I mean, who are you looking to extend? Who are you potentially looking to move? And what are the discussions there? I think it'd be incredible if you can find ways to get all these guys on the field together with a long-term future here in Atlanta. But it's a numbers game, and so you may have to end up ultimately picking and choosing, right? I think you like some of the guys that you've already moved on from, right? I really liked what you saw from Noah Cobb. Really like what you saw from Efren Morales. But it's a points becomes a numbers game, and then it becomes a money game, and you got to figure all that out. And it's the same thing with the three that you mentioned, and we'll throw Will Riley in there as well. But Jay, Matt, and Cooper, they just feel like they could be a core of this team, but we'll have to see how the contracts play out and all that. It's tough because you're trying to decide, after seeing what Cooper had been doing for a number of games, and then you see what Jay did in his moment on Saturday. It's like, man, if you can only have one, or if you have to pick and choose, it's going to be really, really difficult to do that. But it's a business, unfortunately. So we'll see how it plays. But I think it's important to showcase for the kids young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, real young, in 10, 11, 12 who are already in the program, all the way up to the twos. Like there's a path here. And if you keep your head down and put in the work and improve and listen to the coaches and everything that generally I would say is like your path to the next step, there is a road to you being the first team Five Stripes. And I think you've seen kid after kid showcase that. And so that's very optimistic and positive for even younger players to be able to see that, hey, if I just keep improving and doing what's asked of me, I'll get to play for the first team. It's not a developmental program where we then ship you out into a situation you probably don't want to be in. No, we're looking to pull you up here. And so it's also important that the kids have done well and fared well and all that. But yeah, at some point it's going to become a numbers game. You're going to have to move on from some of them just because contracts, and that's how it works. But really, you have to be pleased with what you've seen out of them over the past, let's say, 18 months.
All right, so here's your numbers to pay attention to. Luke Brennan under contract through 27, option for 28. Matt Edwards under contract through 26, option year 27. Jay Fortune out of contract at the end of this year. You better lock him up. I'm just going to say that right now. You've got Will Riley under contract through 26, option years 27 and 28. Cooper Sanchez under contract through 26, option years 27 and 28. So that's just those five. There are other homegrowns to discuss. Santi Pita, Aiden Torres, DCQ, Adrian Gill. But just of those five that we were talking about, that's your update.
Yeah, and again, I want to see more of Jay. And I know he kind of led the charge through some match compression. Then he took a couple of games off, not off, but didn't start for a couple of games maybe, and he was just coming back from injury. Maybe needed to get a little bit more extra rest than the others, get his legs back into him. But look, I think Jay is a perfect example of a guy that should be a mainstay in the midfield. I know it is a numbers game, and if you like what Cooper's done and you like what Tristan Moyamba's done and you're giving Matthias Galarza a chance, then where do you find a spot for Jay? And so it's a balancing act with all of that. But I'm ready to see Cooper as a mainstay. I'm ready to see Jay as a mainstay. And you still got to figure out what the future is for Matt Edwards. If you've got Jacob back there on the right, what exactly does Matt fit into these plans? I know he can play multiple positions, inside, outside, or up top towards the midfield, or even as a winger. But it's just a numbers game, unfortunately, for him, and he's not seeing the field as much, I'm sure, as he would like. But we've seen very good things from Matt Edwards when he has played.
All right, so what are you going to be doing this week as you get ready for round one with Orlando coming up on Saturday, sir?
Technically, I'm not getting ready for round one. You're getting ready for round one. I am off on Saturday. I have a family event, and so I will be enjoying that. But I'll do the proper Abe Gordon thing, which is streaming it on my phone in a public location, so, and do it that way. So
I just had this vision of you like Joey Tribbiani at the funeral with his back to it, and he's watching The Watchmen, and everybody's wondering what the score is.
Look, I watched Game 1 of the World Series for the Braves a number of years ago at a wedding. I watched U.S. World Cup qualifier a number of years ago at a wedding. Look, I come with like a battery pack in case I run low. Like I'm ready to stream no matter the occasion. We'll be tuned in, but you guys are going to be the ones talking about it, you and Maddie, on Saturday night from our lovely 92.9 Kia studios.
Yes, the Imitation Palatial Studios at 92.9 The Game, and then you come back in 8 days, and then you've got Open Cup. Yeah, if there's an Open,
I will be there for Open Cup, and looking forward to that. And that's good for me. That way I only have to talk about Orlando once. You guys suffer about having to talk about them twice. So that's a tough gig.
Wow. All right. Good to see you, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
You got it. Thanks, John.
Wow. You only have to talk about him once. You get to talk about him twice. Orlando. Absolutely true. Okay. So that's how we always kick off the week. For those of you that are new here and not A-listers, first timers, that's how we start off our week. With Abe being the tag team partner of Matty Cruz and myself, we bring Abe in to get his thoughts, to kind of get the engine turned over and warmed up for everybody in the Twitch pitch and for everybody watching us on social media, and lay it all out for you that way. All right, Bart, Keeler joining us top of the hour from the SoccerForUSPod. We're going to discuss their last episode where they did discuss Matt Crocker. I did want to get into that. Then we'll get into Yanks Abroad and all of that, and then we'll get into reffing down here. There are some moments that we need to get into away from Atlanta and LAG that we will get into. We'll discuss VAR from the Premier League. We'll discuss there was a Rob Holding moment, I think, that Bart had on his list. And so we'll get into all of that coming up here, starting at 10 o'clock. And then at 10:45, once again, reminder, Judson Hamby, girls head coach at Oconee County, is going to be joining us to break down his AAA final against Molly McCarty and the Dragons of Jefferson, two heavyweights. And if you are anywhere near Duluth, I'm just going to say it right now, if you are anywhere near Duluth High School later on this week for that AAA final, I would recommend you go, because it is two heavyweights, it is two blue bloods, and you want a tremendous representation of what soccer is here in the state of Georgia. This is just one of them. It is going to be the early game tomorrow in Duluth at Duluth High School. So it is 5 o'clock Duluth High School tomorrow, Oconee County and Jefferson. And that's going to kick off our in-show coverage here on SDH AM. Judson Hamby coming up at 10:45. So we got some time to talk about stuff and updates and all of that. All right, let's take you through what happened and the one goal on the board. The first goal on the board, they got pulled off the board. We're discussing in a bit. Separate conversation. So the goal that counted and stuck, Jay Fortune, and it was a conversation point that we had made about where Jay Fortune had come from and everything that he has gone through to get to that kind of a moment for Atlanta United. Here was the call, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Mike and Jason had the breakdown for you.
Getting some action here from Fortune into the corner. Baez not releasing it yet. Now he does to Saba. Flick down to Baez on the far touchline. He nutmegs his man and gives it to Fortune. Fortune on the left wing to the top of the 18. Fortune now parallel to goal. Turns and shoots. Score! Stroke of great fortune for Atlanta United. They find the opening goal of the match in the 69th minute.
They say that fortune favors the bold. Just checking into the game not that long ago, Jay Fortune cuts inside, cuts around another, has a peek and says, I've got this.
Really well hit by Jay Fortune.
World-class goal from Jay Fortune to give Atlanta the lead.
And there's that goal that put Atlanta in the lead. And here's your required reading for the day. It is in the Twitch pitch, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it out for you right here. This was the article that was put out on soccerdownhere.net. And it was written back April the 3rd. Jason had this breakdown of Jay Fortune's comeback. And I'll just read you the second headline, the second header. The midfield's recovery has been built on persistence, support, and love for the game that only grew stronger while he was away. So it is a bit of a Sunday read length, but it's well worth your time. So that is the Jay Fortune story that we have been referencing when it comes to Jay and his comeback. So it's over at soccerdownhere.net. If you go into the newsroom, if you don't copy and click the link that is attached in the Twitch pitch, just go to soccerdownhere.net, go into the newsroom, and all you really have to do is a search. You can just put Fortune in the search and it pops up. And so it's the article from April about Jay Fortune and his recovery, and to have that moment for him where he basically ducked once, got one defender to move, ducked twice, got a second defender to move, gave himself a window and smashed it behind JT Marcinkowski to make it 1-0. That's the kind of the return that you've been building toward. And to get that moment for Jay Fortune was beyond cool. After the match, Maddie and Jason caught up with Jay to find out about the match in and of itself and to have that kind of a comeback moment. So here's the interview with Jay Fortune after the match in the locker room.
Changed after you get the goal, and it felt like, Galaxy take control of the game 5 minutes later.
I think it's just understanding game management a little bit. Obviously, we want to go for a second or a third, but at the same time, too, we have to ensure the victory. I think talked about it before the game, the most dangerous in transition, and we allowed them to get 2 goals that way. So I think it's just understanding the game better.
Hate that your goal gets lost in it, but walk us through how your goal came.
Just picked it up out wide. Thought I heard somebody behind me, so at that point just decided to pick up the speed a little bit. Just saw lanes closing that I was looking to pass into, and then from there, once you get top of the box, just trying to finish it. Supposed to have a few goals this season that I didn't get, so I really wanted that one.
Couple of games coming up against Orlando League and then Open Cup. What do you want to see be sharper in these two?
I think not quite ready to say it's the end of the world. The last 3 or 4 games have been better. It's just about getting back to those fundamentals, which I think were there for most of this game. It's just seeing it out for 90 minutes, doing the right things, and just being smart with how we see games out, and making sure that when we have the lead, we're able to keep it.
All right. So to Abby's point, considering how incredibly low the volume was, because this was the one thing I forgot to do in trying to get everything put together. It's a minute and 20 something. So tell you what, this is straight up Monday behavior by me. So how about this? How about we do the interview over again and I actually boost the volume to where you can actually hear it? How about this?
Changed after you get the goal, and it felt like, Galaxy take control of the game 5 minutes later.
I think it's just understanding game management a little bit. Obviously, we want to go for a second or a third, but at the same time, too, we have to ensure the victory. I think talked about it before the game, the most dangerous in transition, and we allowed them to get 2 goals that way. So I think it's just understanding the game better.
Hate that your goal gets lost in it, but walk us through how your goal came.
Just picked it up out wide. Thought I heard somebody behind me, so at that point just decided to pick up the speed a little bit. Just saw lanes closing that I was looking to pass into, and then from there, once you get top of the box, just trying to finish it. Supposed to have a few goals this season that I didn't get, so I really wanted that one.
Couple of games coming up against Orlando League and then Open Cup. What do you want to see be sharper in these two?
I think not quite ready to say it's the end of the world. The last 3 or 4 games have been better. It's just about getting back to those fundamentals, which I think were there for most of this game. It's just seeing it out for 90 minutes, doing the right things, and just being smart with how we see games out and making sure that when we have the lead, we're able to keep it.
And there you go. The volume adjusted Jay Fortune interview after the match with Jason. And it was the 2 points that he made off the top. You're trying to close out matches, and you knew going in that LAG was deadly in transition. Goal number 1, it took the sum total of 4 seconds after Tristan tried to save the ball from going out of bounds and over the near side touch for Miller to Paintzel to Royce to Peck. Literally, it was 4 seconds. I think actually it was 4 seconds from Paintzel to Royce to Peck and then shoot. And so when you're trying to scramble like that defensively, there are going to be some opportunities because offensively for LAG, you knew where you were going, and Atlanta United's backline is having to try to sit there and figure out, okay, where are we going? We've got to get set. We've got to get it in our line and structure. And so Gabriel Peck, with his speed going forward, and you're having to backtrack, creates obvious issues. And so that made it 1-1. Then once again to get the 2-1 goal, and it was just a situation where Atlanta once again pressing with the high line. You find the space in between, and then Gabriel Peck once again finding space, and you end up with opportunity down the right-hand side. Hoyos makes the initial save, and it ends up being underneath. I want to say it was Tomas Jacob. Literally, Hoyos makes the save. It dribbles forward a couple of yards. Jacob is at the edge of the 6, and Jacob is trying to turn his body. Literally, he is on the turf. He is on the floor, and he's trying to turn the body to where he can at least get a foot to it to clear it away. And as Gabriel Peck is crashing right down the middle, he'll get to the ball first before Jacob has a chance to just swipe it away anywhere and slams it into the net, which was the unfortunate aspect of it all. And so 2-1, team that is very, very good in transition, lethal in transition, brings in Marco Royce as a substitute, 2 goals, and from 10 minutes, 2 goals in 4, and you go from 1 up in the 69th to being down 2-1 and having to chase for 11 minutes to go. So that was pretty much how she wrote in that one. Atlanta United once again down 2-1. They do not get the equalizer in the final 11 minutes. And as we mentioned in the standings, they are even with Orlando, purple team, and Atlanta both at 3-8-1. And they are, like I said, literally they're 2 wins out of the play-in round right now. You're 1/3 part of the season, and both teams at 3-8-1. Orlando defensively has given up the ball and has given up goals in bunches. Like I said, it was the initial the initial porous defense that was there that sent Oscar Pareja packing. And here's what Orlando has or has not been able to do this season, depending on your perspective. We'll try and catch up with Mike Gramajo twice, Friday and next Tuesday, heading into both matches. 2 to Red Bulls, 4 to Messi and Friends, 5 to NYC. You only give up 1 to Montreal, get your first win of the year. 5 to Orlando, 6 to LAFC. So in a 4-match stretch in March and April, you gave up 17 goals in 4 matches. Then Martin Perelman comes in, and things have calmed down defensively, short of the matches in late April when you had schedule compression and dealing with New England in the Open Cup. Draw to Columbus, lost to Houston. You beat Charlotte, which was a shock for everybody at the time. Then you lose in a shootout at DC United at Audi Field on the road. 7-goal thriller with New England in the Open Cup. Then you have another 7-goal thriller where Inter Miami is exposed defensively by Orlando, of all folks. And then you lose to Montreal. So you really do not know which team you were going to get on a match-by-match basis under Martin Perelman and what you're seeing out of the purple team. You do have, by the way, a midweek match for Orlando. They will have 3 matches in 7 days. You've got a midweek match with the Purple team hosting Philly. Then you've got the weekend with Atlanta. Then you have Tuesday with Atlanta in Open Cup. So it does present interesting questions for those who follow the Purple team, how things are going to be in the midweek in 2 days' time, and a matchup at home against Philly at Inter & Co. Then Atlanta comes in on Saturday. Then Atlanta stays, and you're going to have them in Open Cup next Tuesday. And like I said, we'll try and catch up with our friend Mike Gramajo later this week, and then again early next week to try to break things down after the Philly match, before the Atlanta match, and before the Atlanta match. So Mike Gramajo from West TV down in Orlando is going to be very, very busy with us if we have our way over the next couple of days. And so obviously over the next couple of days and this week, we will break everything down across the league. We'll get you ready for whatever else is on your mind when it comes to Atlanta United. It was a rough weekend across the board. Listening to the match last night involving the twos and OCB. Orlando City B gets the win 2-0 over Atlanta United 2 up in Athens. And it was a goal in each half. Let me get the scoring breakdown here. So last night at the Turner Complex, and you can go back and listen to those matches on our Mixler channel. It was a 9th-minute PK that put everything on the board for the Purple team. And you end up with, hang on, let me see if I can find my, okay, so you don't want to give it to me. All right, fine. So you end up with a PK in the 9th minute, and it was Caraballo scoring to make it 1-0, and then Daniel Chica gets a red in the 70th, and so Atlanta is having to play the final 20, a man down. You end up with another goal by Haruna in the 75th minute, 5 minutes after Daniel Chica exits, and so 2-0 OCB gets the win over Atlanta United 2. And so in the standings in the Eastern Conference for Atlanta United 2 right now, they're in 4th. And you have Red Bulls 2 and Crown Legacy. They've kind of separated from the pack a bit. 23 points right now through 9 or 10 matches. Atlanta still has a match in hand. They're in 4th at 16 points. Still ahead of Orlando City B because they have 2 more wins in the 9 matches. Atlanta United 2 right now, 5-3-1 after their first 9 matches in MLS Next Pro this year. And very, very stingy defensively under Jose Silva. 2-1 at home this year. They've only given up 11 goals in 9 matches. And so Atlanta United 2 gets the opportunity to kind of figure things out this week. And then next week, it is a road game to Huntsville City. And it is a matchup against Huntsville City Football Club at 8 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday night, 8:03 kick, Wicks Family Field and Joe Davis Stadium. And obviously, with us in more than one place at a time, we'll keep you updated or up to date on both the twos and Atlanta United matches from both Joe Davis Stadium, Wicks Family Field, and from Inter & Co. down in Central Florida. So it'll be a very, very busy night for us on the network on Saturday. Maddie and I will be in Colony Square for pre and post. Mike and Jason will be in Orlando with the Purple team and Atlanta United. So that's the layout for the that's the layout for Atlanta United over the span of the next week or so. Okay, opening kickoff, I'd promised you, and now it's here. Brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. This classifies itself as moments of cool from the weekend. And after the match with LAG, it was the season opener. It was the cracking open of the bottle on the Atlanta United Unified season. In its history in MLS play, Atlanta United has not lost a match. And I think that's 23 in a row, for Marty Jellamy and Atlanta United Unified. That streak was once again up for debate with LAG's Unified team coming to town. And this one, for those of you that stuck around, first and foremost, I give you a tip of the cap for hanging out and supporting the Unified team. 17s, you are a unique bunch, and it is very cool to see you give as much support to the Unified team as you do. So the first of 4 matches for the Unified team this year was at Mercedes-Benz after the LAG loss. LAG Unified comes to Mercedes-Benz, and they get the first goal on the board. It literally was 1-0 LAG Unified. Atlanta United comes back to even things up. And then it was a very, very busy night for Xavier Hairston. From the spot to try to get Atlanta United the lead. This is from ATLUTD.com/live. The Hoff, Greg Garza, and Brad Guzan on the call.
It was clear as day who's going to take it. Hairston steps up, strikes, sluts it home.
Had the goalie diving the other way. This guy has a left-footed bag. Oh, he gets the LeBron James celebration.
King James on the celebration. Make it 5 goals in just 2 matches for X-Man. Atlanta erupts once again and crowns a new unified king. 5 Stripes take the lead right here in the 44th.
So it was 3-1, or it was 2-1. Then Atlanta United gets a third shortly thereafter, and I'll give you one guess who scored it. Once again, ATLUTD.com/live. The Hoff, Greg, and Goose on the call.
Scoops it away from pressure. Here we go. 5 Stripes on the bounce. Griner goes around the goalkeeper. Guess who's open in the middle? Hairston!
Hattie Hairston. What's he got now? What's he got now?
Make it 3 and put him to bed, X-Man. Takes him to the corner and shows off the badge one more time. 5 Stripes unified, togetherness. This is what it's all about.
3-1 at that point, and it ends up as a 3-3 final. So LAG's Unified team crosses the country, and it's a draw in that match for Atlanta United and for Los Angeles Galaxy's Unified team. First time that we've gotten to see LAG's Unified team here in Atlanta, and Atlanta United getting the chance to play them in those deep purple royal kits, reminiscent of the old LA Kings uniforms. But shout out to what we saw from the LAG Unified team. Down 3-1, they come back, 3-3 final. And that is the first match of 4 this year for Atlanta United's Unified team. 2 on the road after this, and then they wrap up, I think, around Halloween here at home. So when you see stuff going on with Atlanta United Unified, very, very cool that that it is given the coverage and the love and support that it is. So Atlanta United Unified kicks off their 26th season after the loss to LAG with a 3-3 draw with LAG. And obviously, we'll keep you posted on everything Unified going forward. Some new faces, a lot of old faces. Liam Stewart, Alex Eberly, Mike Eisworth, who drew the penalty to make it 2-1, was part of it. So there is some roster turnover. There are some new faces, but obviously when you have folks like the X-Man Xavier Hairston getting the goals for Atlanta United's Unified team, offense is really going to be a fun focal point this year for Marty Jellamy and Atlanta United Unified. So it's a great way to end a Saturday evening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And once again, shout out to all of you folks who came by and stuck around and moved from wherever your seats were down into the hundreds to be right there behind the benches for Atlanta United. So very, very cool stuff. And we can't thank y'all enough for doing that when it comes to the Unified and what ends up being a very, very long day for a lot of folks on a lot of different fronts. So once again, very, very cool. And the Unified season is off and running. You see at the bottom of the screen, for those of you watching on the Twitch pitch, get your questions in for reffing down here. Like I said, we're talking Matty Crocker. We're talking USMNT, Yanks Abroad, all the things. We are going to be getting into VAR in England. We're going to be, and this benefits Bart, so he doesn't have to sit there and not say the moment existed. Moment did exist. At the end of the day, it did benefit Arsenal and his Arsenal. So we'll get into that moment, and we will get into whatever words you want to use to describe what we saw from center ref and / VAR in moments for Atlanta United and LAG. And that's coming up. So and Wiley will get into that. So we'll get into that. We'll talk the philosophical elements of it. And I do have that play. I don't have all of it, but I have part of it. I did load that one, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I did load the Bear call goal. I loaded some of the conversation. It's longer than your average highlight, but I always think that since we have 2+ hours to get into topics, that it's worth the time to play things out a little longer, to give them full context and give them full run. So I do have a little bit of that conversation that came out over the air, 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. So we'll get into that. We'll get into crewing decisions and cards and philosophical points in addition to what we saw from this crew, because I will let you in on, I'll break the fourth wall here a little bit. As this was happening, Maddie, Abe, and I are in the press box. And so as that moment in the 41st happened, I got a text from our next guest, and it literally was 4 letters. That's a tease. I'll let you know what those 4 letters are coming up in a bit. So that's your rundown for Bart's segment, 10:45. Once again, Judson Hamby, the head coach at Oconee County, is going to be joining us to talk about the AAA heavyweight matchup on the girls' side tomorrow at 5 at Duluth High School, GHSA Championships on NFHS Network. And if you're near Duluth High School, seriously, go and watch this game. Go and watch this game. Get off work early. If you need a note, let me know. Don't know how much worth a note from me would be, but if you need a note to get to Duluth for that matchup tomorrow at 5 o'clock, let me know and I'll see what I can do. So we'll get you into all of that. Other headlines and things just to kind of let you know what's going on. We'll discuss that with Bart coming up in a bit. Yeah, we got to talk about West Ham now. Apparently, as a part of the discussion, they are lodging a complaint with the referee chiefs over the disallowed goal. So we'll add that to our discussion as to what's going on. According to The Guardian, tell me if you're shocked. Soaring, as the headline, soaring World Cup ticket prices for players, families, and guests leave several FAs stunned. Sure, I'm shocked on that one. The Slavia Prague derby was abandoned minutes after the fans stormed the pitch. Teams, basically seconds from the title, Slavia Prague's fans decide, hey, I think it's a great idea if we storm the pitch. Well, wait, the match isn't over. Oh, that's okay. They're going to win anyway. Fans storm the pitch. They bring flares. And, I mean, it was a display of flares and flares being shot from the field in straight lines and not up into the air. If you've seen the video. So the match is abandoned. Slavia Prague, once again, they could forfeit the match, according to the AP. The stadium could be closed for the future. Slavia Prague, Sparta Prague. Slavia Prague, once again, punishment is being awaited as the fans invaded the pitch in stoppage time in their derby on Saturday night. Slavia Prague leading 3-2 would give them the chance to defend the Czech League title with 3 matches to spare. Punishment could be announced tomorrow, could be forfeiting the match, banning fans from the stadium, and a fine. The league committee also opened proceedings against Sparta after their fans used pyrotechnics and damaged the stadium. Like I was telling you with all of the pyrotechnics, literally aiming them in straight lines and not like up in the air and stuff. They wanted to aim them at people as opposed to up in the air. So they did that too. 97th minute, attacking Sparta Prague players, including keeper Jakub Sorovchik, defender Jakub Martinec, and forward Matthias Vojta. The match was abandoned. Slavia's chief exec apologized, said the club would cooperate with the FA and the police. Head of the Czech FA said the incident was damaging to Czech football, the clubs, and the overwhelming majority of decent fans. It was announced on Sunday that Slavia Prague was going to close their north stand, which was where the ultras are, with immediate effect. Stand closed until all the perpetrators ID'd and brought to justice. Good luck on that. because a lot of them were wearing balaclavas. You could only see eyes. You couldn't see hair or anything. You could just see eyes, and that was about it. 2 Slavia players shown red cards during the derby. League's leading scorer Tomas Chori, defender David Dudera, suspended for the rest of the year. Club leader transfer listed the pair. Both are members of the national team qualifying for the World Cup for the first time in 20 years. So basically, 2 Slavia Prague players, team's had enough. You're on the transfer list. I don't care if you're the leading scorer. So you know what? Here. You're on the transfer list. You're gone. Nuts. All right. It is 10 o'clock. So it's time to discuss the things. That's the official term. See, Bart's even put on his glasses. I mean, that is how locked in he is. He has gone from just staring at stuff open-eyed to putting glasses on. That's where Bart is with this. What up, dude?
Well, as you know, all referees need glasses, John. I mean.
Just ask baseball. We'll get into reffing down here in a sec. So the last episode of the Soccer for US POD, you went into the Matt Crocker situation. I wanted to discuss this briefly, and without completely and totally giving up the outrage I'm sure that is in parts of this episode. For me, this has been one of those things where Matt Crocker basically decided, someone's going to offer me a boatload of money. Yes, I know it's the Saudi Arabia Fed, which is fine. I get that. My whole thing in this with Crocker is you're leaving in the lead up to a World Cup. You're in the World Cup cycle. You are now 5 weeks away from the tournament beginning. At the time he left, it was a couple weeks more than that. And so you just decide, no matter if what your immediate job impact entails, you're a part of the hierarchical system of U.S. soccer. You decide that, and apparently this was just something, there was no background to it. There was no underlying things that were just, I'm not happy here, and we know you're not happy here. So if someone comes with the bag, go ahead and go. This literally was, hey, Mr. Crocker, would you be interested in being a part of the Saudi Arabian Federation? Matt Crocker, Poland. Sure. Okay, I'll leave. So you leave the U.S. Federation in a bit of a lurch. Like I said, I don't necessarily care what your job title was. You're still part of the hierarchy in a World Cup cycle, and you decide the bag is more important than hanging around and not having a statement put out going, Matt Crocker will leave his position with the U.S. U.S. soccer at the end of this particular World Cup to take on a job to be named later, or he could announce the Saudi Arabian Fed or what have you. It rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm fairly certain that I was not the only one in this discussion.
Yeah, to put it simply, that was the gist of it, John, because I think when we take a step back from the outrage, we do kind of talk about the fact that Matt Crocker's role, if you will, with this USMNT cycle is done, right? I mean, nothing he's going to do from when he left the job in April up until day one of the World Cup and even through the World Cup, nothing he does is going to make the team on the field somehow better, right? Like that's not what the sporting director does. It is a lot of big picture strategy and vision casting and pulling in experts to help with player development and training methodologies and all these things, right? That is the role of sporting director. However,
yes,
where we get into kind of a three-pronged outrage, actually. It was a trident of outrage.
Oh, a trident of outrage. Hashtag.
A trident of outrage.
Hashtag trident outrage.
Leaving so soon and so close to the World Cup and so suddenly just makes, that is a knife to the heart. It just felt wrong. It felt shady. And I look, the shadiness, the reason is Saudi Arabia probably wrote him a big check or sent him a large sack of money. I don't know which, maybe both. And we understand that. However, you weren't here but 3 years. So anything that you started and tried to implement and talked about long-term longitudinal projects, where are they? What was the point of that? Because 3 years is not enough time for a sporting director to implement strategies, techniques and overall philosophies of training, styles of play, and to get the federation from not necessarily top to bottom, because the USMNT and USWNT are going to be in their own ways separate.
Right.
But I mean, his job mainly is about youth development when you think about it. That is not a 1 year, 2 year approach. Those are long-term projects of, okay, well, we're going to implement these things. And we started seeing more of that. We saw more U15 and 16 boys and girls camps. Obviously, a lot of Atlanta United folks and Atlanta area folks have been a part of those camps, and we love that. We've seen a lot of work from Emma Hayes on the women's side to implement U23 and U21 or U20 camps on the women's side, which I know Matt Crocker is a part of because, again, as sporting director, that's his job to help put those in place. And while those are good things that we can see that he did, the question is still, okay, but you were only here for 3 years and you just left. These projects are incomplete. So what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
So those are parts 1 and 2. And then part 3 is where especially our concern when we look at the U.S. men's national team, right, is, well, what does this mean for the team? Because last cycle, the men played 14 matches under an interim head coach. From dismissal of Greg Berhalter at the beginning of January till him being not even hired. This is another issue that we do have with him. Hired and then waited to complete the Gold Cup before Greg Berhalter started again. And then we had Greg Berhalter get fired. And we still had Pochettino hired, but then a window before he started coaching again. So the point of all that is, well, we don't have a sporting director. We have a World Cup coming up in a month and a day by the calendar that I'm looking at right now. And I don't know, John, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think Mauricio Pochettino is sticking around for next cycle. That was never the point. No. So come, I don't know, July 19, let's just say that's when, our tournament ends. We're going to be in the coaching search. But if we don't have a sporting director, are we going to start that coaching search promptly?
Mm-hmm.
And that's our concern, is because while we do not have an update for folks, we don't have international matches until late September this year. They have switched that calendar because all the European clubs made a big stink about having to play in early September. But we are now playing in late September, early October, this window. So yes, you have a little bit of time, but as we've seen from U.S. Soccer, hiring a coach somehow takes forever. And we did this at the beginning of last cycle, if you remember. Ernie Stewart stepped down. Not unexpectedly, but a little unexpectedly. Then we had to go find a sporting director, Matt Crocker. Then we had to go find a head coach. So if the process is if A, then B, and A is a sporting director and B is a coach, how long are we going to get until we get a new head coach? And while I don't think that the players are blameless in the poor results of this particular cycle, not having a firm head coach for like half of it is kind of a problem too. So if you're not getting a head coach until 2027, maybe, that gets you started on the wrong foot. And that's where our biggest rage kind of lies, is with knowing U.S. Soccer is going to kick the can and just take their time. I mean, that's our concern.
Mm-hmm. Understandable, considering past history. And that was why I wanted to start off the discussion with that particular topic and get into the weekend of folks who are still playing. Some of the folks have their seasons over, and so now you have to rely on past evidence as to, okay, now what do we do? Gio Reyna scored.
Gio Reyna scored a goal. The headline is Gio Reyna played like 30 minutes, I think, for the team.
Yeah, 32.
The secondary headline is he scored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, put him on the roster. He's good.
Longest appearance since December for Borussia Mönchengladbach. You've also had goals here on this side of the Atlantic from Diego Luna, Sebastian Berhalter, Ricardo Pepi, and Christian Pulisic out for AC Milan's game. It was reported in local media or Italian media as glute muscle discomfort.
Well,
Sure.
Here's the silver lining to that. Maybe his relationship woes have been put to bed, and that's where he got the glute discomfort from.
Oh, I wish I had a rim shot. I need a rim shot for those kinds of moments. You need to warn me about those kinds of things, man.
Sorry.
That was
that's my solution for Christian Pulisic, by the way. That's my prescription for him is like, and clearly he's in his sad boy era right now, so he needs to go be not a sad boy.
Well,
go hang out with your friend Wes McKinney.
Go find your emo music and maybe dress in black.
Hey, they got training camp here in Atlanta in like a couple weeks. Maybe he'll find some entertainment while
la 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 la. Not listening to you. La 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 la. Bournemouth unbeaten run now is 16. And Mauricio Pochettino on hand to see Tyler Adams, who came in for a little bit more than 45, and see Jedi Robinson. Chris Richards got to play in 94, just happy to be here, FC, in their draw with Everton. And Brendan Aronson is on Monday Night Football as Leeds and Spurs are going on. Aidan Morris with Middlesbrough and Southampton. Aidan Morris is surviving the spy scandal that is going on between Southampton and the Middlesbrough and the rest of the EFL Championship. So Falair and Balogun, 5 Champions League goals this year. Monaco loses to Lille, which means that if they're only going to go into European play, it will be in Conference League. Tim Weah sidelined. Tanner Tessman out for the rest of the year. And that, it brings you more depth questions and things like that. We mentioned Gio Reyna. So he's in for less than 30 or for a little bit more than 30 scores, and then Bild doesn't rate him. So who knows? I don't know what Bild's rating system has to do anymore.
Maybe they don't have him in the system because he just doesn't play a lot.
And that could be very true. That could be very, very true in all of this. Alex Zendejas scored 2 goals in 90 minutes for Club America. And
apparently the most entertaining match that's ever been matched because the Twitter timeline, the Blue Sky timeline was lit last night with that game going on.
Hey, 6-6 in the aggregate for both legs. That's the kind of sideways stuff that we like to watch here. Muscular response AQ is getting blocked and reported, by the way. Just so
we talked about glutes and gluteus maximus.
Maximi?
So maybe that's
Maximi? Yes.
Maximi?
Maximus Maximi, if I remember my Latin. The plural is Maximi. So viewer, if I could spell viewer.
I don't remember my Latin because I had friends in high school.
Yeah, and for me, I took 2 years of Latin because it was mandatory by my grandfather, who wanted me to take it as a vocabulary builder for the SATs. And you see where that got me. So,
got you speaking for a living.
Yeah, really. Ricardo Pepi, 15th of the season, a header from Serginho Dest's cross, 5th in the last 14 for PSV.
PSV, keep pouring it on, man, because they've already sealed the league championship, obviously. Just don't get hurt.
No.
Don't get hurt. Neither of those boys get hurt.
That is the byline in this one. All right.
Yep.
I feel like we need to have some kind of an open at times for this particular segment. It is time for reffing down here. I know, really? Exactly. Or if we just did like the Law and Order thing at the beginning,
dun dun.
Yeah, if you do that, then that would be what we would need. So let's go into a moment overseas that is drawing great consternation, gnashing of teeth, and grinding of palms and cracking of knuckles and everything. And I think, and this is the Arsenal West Ham moment. West Ham is so mad.
The what moment?
The Arsenal West Ham moment. Yeah, exactly. Nicely done, sir. I assume that's tea that you are having this morning. Or to go.
Well, it's coffee, but it has been flavored with some.
Okay.
Tears of the opponents. So
sure it has. West Ham, according to the Guardian, intend to complain to the PGMOL over the decision to allow Callum Wilson's goal after David Raya was deemed to have been fouled by Pablo. Drama dealt another blow in their hopes of staying in the Prem. Club plan to contact the PGMO for clarity over why Pablo was penalized. Although West Ham accepts their complaint is unlikely to get them anywhere, they are expected to ask for the audio between the referee, Chris Kavanagh, and VAR Darren England. Kavanagh was advised by England to go to the pitch side monitor to review the incident. Arsenal's manager, Mikel Arteta, said the decision could determine, quote, the history of two massive clubs fighting with their lives to achieve their objectives, and described the officials as very brave. So I will say this before we get into the analysis. I thought they got it right. I thought they did. And this is someone who is neither a fan of Arsenal nor someone who roots against West Ham. I thought they got it right in the analysis because you see the grab. You see the grab from the rear angle where the grab is behind the back, and you're grabbing the keeper's left arm to keep him from getting his work done. I thought they got it right. Yeah. And so consternation be damned.
So I think that's where we have to just start at is, was the call correct? The answer, in my opinion, and my professional opinion, and in my fan opinion, is absolutely. Yeah. This is a foul. I don't understand why the consternation is around them calling a foul here, because this is also coming from a member of the goalkeeper union, so I'll admit my bias there, but I mean, I wouldn't want to have a forearm in my face and someone pulling me down as I'm being, jumping to try to catch a ball. There are multiple points of contact on David Raya that interfere with his ability to make a play on the ball. And I think what people are frustrated about is how long it took for them to get the call right. And my response would be, well, if you watched the replay twice, you saw the fouls. Plural fouls. So I do think, and this is just, again, I do want to hear the audio. I do think a lot of the conversation was about, okay, do we need to call this foul? Is this foul something that interfered with the play? Like all these questions of, is this a clear and obvious error? And I gotta be just honest with y'all. I'm sorry. And yes, I'm drinking literally out of an Arsenal mug. I get it. But at the end of the day, this is a foul on the goalkeeper by the attacking team that was not called. Therefore, that's a clear and obvious error. It just is. I don't think it should have taken this long. And I think that's my biggest gripe is, no, it shouldn't have. Because to me, it was pretty darn clear, almost from the moment the ball went in the goal, that there was a foul that occurred on David Raya. And as soon as I saw the first two replays, first one I was like, oh, that looks bad. The second one I go, oh, that's really bad. And I do think that's the issue overall here is it took too long. Well, sure. It took too long to get an obvious call correct, in my opinion.
And that is the larger issue. And of course, Dell and David going back and forth, fouls on Declan Rice. But I think the larger issue, and this is a worldwide issue. This is not just something that that we saw just this one time. And oh no, we have to keep an eye on this. This is something repeatedly that we see with VAR. Is it takes entirely too long to analyze and be assured of what your final decision is going to be. I think that if you have an issue, it should be with the clock. Because as we continue to say, the more you're looking at something, the more the clock runs, the more I think you're trying to come up with a decision one way or the other. In this case, it was the correct decision, but it should not have taken this long. A lot of times when you're on the clock and it goes forever, you're looking for something to re-referee a case, which is not what VAR is set to do.
And I'll also say this in defense of the VAR process here, John. I don't think we were worried about adding time to the end of the game because this was like the end of the game. So in this case, I do think there was extra precaution by both the VAR and the on-field referee to make sure they did get the call right. And I think we can all agree that a game-deciding call, a Premier League title-deciding call that is literally at the end of the game can take a little bit of extra time. But it still took too long to very clearly and obviously say, yeah, that was a foul. And I so that I agree with, but I just do want to say, like, if this were the, AFC Championship game, for lack of a better analogy, right? And we're determining if a wide receiver did actually come down inside maybe it's an issue of, do we have enough time left, right? Like, he made the catch. Was he tackled or contacted inbounds, or was he out of play? Did he make the catch? All these things, right? We would want the referees to get the call right. Yes, we want them to be prompt, but we have to understand that, like, this is a game-deciding call. This is not okay, we're in the 60th minute, and is it a goal or not goal? So I do think they took a little extra time to make sure they were sure that this was the right call. I don't think that the time was, we're looking for the right call. I do think the time was, are we sure this is the right call? But to West Ham's credit, you absolutely should appeal, because why wouldn't you? This is also deciding your season. As I'll point out, you probably shouldn't have lost 18 other league matches, but that's neither here nor there, apparently.
Yeah.
You probably should have scored a 1v1 inside this, within 8 yards of the goal. But yes, this is the decision that's the problem. But you should appeal, right? I mean, you have to, because what else do you have left? I do think this will be educational to hear the VAR commentary between, VAR and referee on field, because I am curious, at what moment did they say, yeah, I think that's a foul? Or what was the language they used and how soon did they arrive at that decision, versus, like, did it take them 17 frames to get it to say, okay, yeah, that is a foul, I see it? Or was it, that looks like a foul, show it again, show it again, show it again? Because it could be they're looking for any reason to not give the foul. Yeah. That's another possible outcome here that no one's considered, is they're saying, okay, I think that's a foul, but is it clear and obvious? And again, I'm just sorry. I looked at it the first time, I go, that's probably a foul. And then you get the back angle, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a foul. Yeah. And I'm just sorry that, like, it took so long to get to that decision, but it's the right decision. Can I address the other comments that Dell, who I don't know if he's a West Ham fan or not, or if he just doesn't like the fact that Arsenal might win the league, but there are fouls on corner kicks all the time. What we need to be aware of is, this is a goalkeeper jumping to catch the ball. The ball was in his hands, yet he was being, so you're a sad boy too. Got it. Okay. Got it. You're mad that Manchester United is celebrating the fact that they finally got back to the Champions League. Got it. Okay. Congratulations. Been there, done that. Congrats on finding your next manager. There are fouls that happen in the penalty area all the time during these set pieces. I think we all understand that. And we're going to talk about one next.
We're going to do that.
The issue here is, and what we'll talk about next, is when you're doing something that impacts the goalkeeper to make a play on the ball directly, we're going to be more scrutinous with that. We're going to look at that with a lower threshold of a foul, because that's literally interfering play. I mean, you can't definitively tell me, and I mean this sincerely, because we're going to talk about this in the Atlanta United game as a whole.
Yes.
There are times that a player is holding someone or pushing or blocking another outfield player. It happens all the time in every single corner kick situation. Is it impactful on the play that happened? Most of the time, John? No.
I'm guessing the answer is no.
But when you impact the goalkeeper's ability to play the ball, again, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, you're going to get yourself into trouble. And again, putting a forearm into the goalkeeper's face while simultaneously pulling him down, while also undercutting him, is probably going to result in a foul on the goalkeeper, and you're going to get a free kick coming out for the attacking team.
On any player that would do that, but specifically a keeper in this case.
Wow. I can't believe a Man United fan would cheer for City. That's, man, That is some derangement. I don't understand that. That you want your crosstown rival who has ruined the sport based on all the money that they get to spend because they're owned by a literal government. You're mad that Arsenal might win the league. Damn, that is a sad life. I'm sorry, Manchester United fans.
Wow. So Bart's come in this morning. He's coming with the salt. All right. Rob Holding. I want to push it back another minute.
Yeah.
Rob Holding and literally Colorado and all caps on the weekend. This one was a red card in Major League Soccer that had thought bubbles all around the United States. And it was in the 50th minute toward the 51st. Ball over the top, and it is a foot race basically to get to the ball with Simon Becher. And Rob Holding for Colorado wins the battle, but it looks like he kind of clears Becher out with the left as he's trying to do-si-do around him. And that goes red card in Colorado. Colorado has to go the final 40 minutes with 10, and that drew thought bubbles around all of Major League Soccer.
I think the issue here is the red card. I think it's ultimately it is a foul. I think the issue for me was, is this really dog-so? And so when we go through the D's of dog-so, defenders, yes, Rob Holding is the last defender, right? I think we can safely agree that he's the last defender who could make a play on the ball here. Obviously, the goalkeeper is still there, but, whatever. Defenders. Okay, sure. Distance to goal.
22, 23
Where
yards.
the foul... Yeah, where the foul starts and kind of occurs, your 30-ish yards, I want to say. My issue here is it's not... We're talking linear, not point to point.
Right.
It's probably about 40-some yards from goal if you talk about goal to where the foul actually occurred because of, yes, I'm looking at from goal line to where the foul is. We're talking, 30-some yards. But 30. You know what I'm saying? If you take point from the middle of the goal to where that foul occurs, it's a little bit farther away than that. So distance for me is a little, I guess.
Yeah.
Direction.
Toward goal.
I don't know about this one. I don't know if this was necessarily headed toward goal, and I certainly don't think that the ball over top was, to me, not headed toward goal. I mean, we were in that, going toward that what I call the corridor of chaos between the 18 and the touch line.
Okay.
It was not it was toward goal, but it was not toward goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of bouncing, and it looked like momentum would kill it at the top of the 18 anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have Holding and Becher kind of locked in arms, kind of arm barring by Holding with Becher, and it kind of stops at about 25 yards away.
And so then you get the last one, which is distance to the ball. And this is where I'm going to draw another corollary to an Arsenal moment. In the Champions League semifinal, there's a foul in Victor Gyökeres by an Atletico Madrid defender in a very similar situation. And only a yellow card was given. And I think that was the correct decision. I know a lot of people wanted a red card. And most of the D's of dogs were met. The one that wasn't for me was distance to the ball. And what the distance to the ball kind of does also encapsulate, and it's not fully written, but it's just one of those things we kind of have to think about is, well, is he actually in control of the ball? And that's what I have an issue with here is I'm not going to tell you the attacker is in control of the ball. This is a ball played over top. He hasn't controlled. The attacker getting fouled hasn't controlled it. I think you also pointed out another piece of this puzzle where the attacker is also doing some arm locking. So I had an issue with this being called a red card. I think this would have been a very safe yellow card. I don't think VAR would have had maybe you go to VAR and say, okay, well, you talk yourself into dog-so, but it's a foul, sure. I just did not see this as a red card on Rob Holding. But, they gave the red card immediately, and I think a lot of if you're going on a scale of 1 to 10 for each one, most of them were above a 6. But were they fully at 10s, or were they fully at the point where you go, yeah, that's definitely a red card? For me, it's not definitely a red card.
Yeah.
And that was my issue with this. And I think a lot of other folks in the league were like, wait a second here. That's a little harsh.
Yeah, I would have gone yellow set piece from about 25, and then I would have been okay with it. So that was the other MLS moment. Okay, let's not waste any more time.
Saba to send it out, the near corner goal to our left. He's got both arms in the air and drops them. Sends it in to the back post. Header, score! One miracle! The Galaxy are claiming something here, but I think they're allowing the goal. I think it's 1-0, but there is an argument now involving both teams. I think they might be disallowing this. I think they're disallowing the goal. No one knows what's happening.
Why does this always happen with Fotis Bazakos?
I think they've disallowed the goal.
They have disallowed the goal.
For what, though?
No clue. I don't know why Fotis Bazakos lets games get this way often.
Well,
and if he does, I don't know why he keeps working.
Here's the replay. The Galaxy were really upset about something immediately.
Marcinkowski went to his knees saying he got grabbed or pushed. There's nothing there. That's horrendous.
Kevin Terry Jr., the VAR, has got to blow this down.
Absolutely horrendous to not give that goal. Marcinkowski play acting.
Oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I mean, Tata's just laughing because what else can you do?
And where's the VAR in this?
Watching Golden Girls again.
The goal does not count, and this is not even going to go to the monitor, folks. Unbelievable.
Okay, what we don't know is if any conversation was had from into the ear of Fotis Bazakos. That's the one element in this that we do not know. That we don't know if VAR was like, yeah, okay, this one's on you. VAR was like, here, we want you to go look at something. Bazakos says no. We don't know interaction from VAR to Fotis Bazakos, if there was any. And I don't know if Inside the VAR studio is going to give us any of this at the end of this week heading into next week. So as we roll through this particular play, the floor, sir, is yours.
Yeah. So again, I'm not going to defend or criticize the call because I don't think that's the issue here. But I'll just take you a little bit through. Is the goal is scored, and I always check the assistant referee. The assistant referee is the one who stood his ground, and so to me, that is a signal. As a center referee, that is a signal of the AR saying, "I don't think this is a good goal." That is he did not put his flag up, which again I have an issue with.
Okay.
That would have been a very clear indication there was something wrong. But standing your ground, typically when a goal is scored, the AR will just run up the line to say, yep, we got a goal. He did not. And to me, that was the immediate signal of, that they saw something. Again, the issue is we didn't know what. And we have a dude who apparently thinks and runs slowly in the center who is trying to make a decision here. And that was the issue, is it seemed like there was a decision they were trying to make on the fly after the goal had scored that should have been made when the foul occurred. And you can argue if this is a foul or not. We can get into that if you really want to, David. Typically, blocking a goalkeeper's path to the ball is going to be a foul. Whether we like it or not, Matias Alares that got in front of the goalkeeper did make contact with the goalkeeper and interfered with the goalkeeper's ability to come make a play on the ball. Now, did JT Marcinkowski flop all over the place? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Doesn't mean it's not a foul. Sorry. But I'm gonna not evaluate the foul any further from that. The issue here is the process. We have a ball go in the back of the net. The center official is going to look at the AR to make sure, yep, we got a good goal. And when he looks over there, the AR is stand put, which means, no, we don't have a good goal. Then they talk on their headset for, 27 minutes somehow. And finally we come to a decision. No, we have a foul, no goal. Then we have to go through the VAR process, and the VAR is looking at this going, I don't know, it's not a clear and obvious error. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all, that wasn't a clear and obvious error that a foul occurred, because there very clearly is contact from Matias Galarza on the goalkeeper, who initiated that is another question. But there is contact. He does impede the progress of the goalkeeper, which is a foul. And so that's the VAR process. Is once it's triggered, you can't say this is clearly and obviously not a foul. It's not a clear and obvious error, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just took forever for them to make an on-field decision, and that's really frustrating. And again, this was at the end of a half where the gentleman in the center decided to be very quick on yellow cards for Atlanta United. Mm-hmm. 2 of them were probably earned. 1 of them definitely wasn't. LA Galaxy didn't have any problems in the first half, despite fouling us as well. But, that's fine. And then we get this call, right, that goes against us. And it did feel like... It did feel bad. Let's just put it that way. It felt bad.
Okay. All right. So you and I obviously will agree to disagree on the amount of contact / foul / preventing of Marcinkowski to get to the ball, because I thought with Galarza and Marcinkowski here that the ball goes over Marcinkowski and does not go over Galarza. So it's this moment here, it goes directly over him. And so Galarza is not impeding if something's going directly over Marcinkowski's head. He's standing next to it. Marcinkowski milks it. I get that. We agree on that. But that we get to. Now, the 3 yellows in 4 minutes. Fotis Bazaka's only called 11 fouls in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He called 5 fouls in the first half against Atlanta. 3 of them were yellow cards. We knew going in that his margin of yellow card to foul was pretty high. Even this seems lickety split when you're going straight to a card. And now what you're doing with 3 yellows in 4 minutes is whatever the line is, the line may no longer exist. And now you're fishing for the final 60 minutes of trying to figure out, okay, where's the line? And the fact that you call 5 fouls and 3 of them are yellow is just that's an odd duck for me in all of this.
So first off, yellows and fouls not necessarily correlated, and I'll explain why. Cooper Sanchez clearly got a yellow card for either dissent or delaying the restart of play.
Dissent I would get, because I could understand the dissent, because if aren't you like if the wave off, isn't that supposed to be an immediate,
Well, no, I think ultimately he gets it for delaying the restart of play in a dissent action, if that makes sense, because he does stand over the ball while he's arguing with the referee.
Dissent light.
Dissenting action.
Yes.
He's yelling at the referee while standing over the ball, delaying the restart of play.
Okay.
So that's issue number 1, is Cooper's card is not for the foul. So, I think that unfortunately works against the argument. Mm-hmm. However, I don't know what Stan Gregerson's yellow card was for. It was not a reckless foul. I mean, he trips him. Not the first time a player's been tripped on a field ever. It wasn't in a situation where you would be stopping a promising attack. It was not reckless in my Atlanta United opinion, but I'm like, that's a pretty common foul. Atlanta United got kicked once or twice, but apparently that's not a foul nor a yellow card. So that's where I do understand is like, wait, you weren't calling similar fouls like this. you do call it here, then you give a yellow card. Yeah, no, Wiley, I agree that it's a foul. Like I'm again, it is a foul.
Mm-hmm.
My point is there were other fouls like this in the game that were not automatic yellow cards.
Mm-hmm.
And this was not in a position that would have necessitated a yellow card for that type of foul. Yeah, he kicks the back of his leg. He trips him. It's not kicking, it's tripping. He trips him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the issue. Now, Baracall is definitely more in the foul that he gets the yellow card for is definitely more in a yellow card worthy action. He is very late, and you could argue it as an attempt to stop a promising attack. So probably reckless, probably stopping a promising attack in some way, shape, or form. That yellow card made more sense. That's what happens when you have a slow center back who can't man mark very well, and he's going to make fouls like that and get yellow cards. I think the really only gripe we have is Steen getting a yellow card in that manner so quickly, so decisively for a foul that is a pretty common foul. Again, I'm not arguing whether it's a foul or not. It's a foul. He trips him. Fine. That type of foul happens all over the field. And I don't know why LA Galaxy didn't get a yellow card for
doing the same thing.
And that's the issue, right?
If you're going to adjudicate it one way so quickly with yellow cards in the first half, then you're at that point wondering, okay, if LAG does this from this moment on, does it turn into a yellow card action? And if there were similar moments, as you noticed, it was not.
Well, it's not even like, oh, I noticed there were similar moments. Yeah, that's a foul that happens. So, like, yes, LA committed a couple fouls from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a sinister way. They're defending. They make a kick to try to kick the ball away, and they miss the ball. They kick the player.
Right.
Again, I don't think Steens was particularly reckless. And again, that is our standard here. We have careless, which is a baseline foul. Mm-hmm. Reckless, which is a yellow card. Excessive force, which is a red card. Baracalls was reckless.
Okay.
That to me rises to that level of a foul, a reckless foul. He is late. He kicks the player after the player has kicked the ball away. That is a reckless foul. It also maybe is possibly stopping a promising attack. So there's two possible yellow card situations there, which usually equals, yeah, you're getting a yellow card for this foul. Steens was just not, to me, up to the level of a reckless foul when you consider other fouls happen that way. And so I'm with you in that if you're going to give a yellow card for that foul, there were multiple fouls on Latte Lot that did not receive a yellow card in a very similar manner. Fotis Pazakis is my least favorite referee in this league. I think you and I were texting about this during the game. I do not understand. Okay, I'm not trying to dump on the dude. I would like to see his fitness test.
Okay.
I think he consistently is out of position. He's consistently behind the play. And I don't think he manages the game well at all.
Yes, that.
So those are the issues I think you and I both have with Fotis. Is he does not manage the game well. You do not want to be in a situation where you are managing the game with yellow cards. You should be taking action before that. Now, sometimes it happens. I was mentoring on Saturday, and a kid gave 3 red cards in a U10 game.
Wow.
For fighting.
Wow.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Kid got pushed from behind. Yeah, it's a foul. He didn't like it, and then things happened after.
Okay.
Unfortunately, especially when you're dealing with men, I don't want to. This is not a gender, sex conversation, but when you're dealing with men, they have a higher proclivity for stupid stuff. It just happens. I don't care what age. John, I don't know why. The dumber gender does stupid stuff on the field a lot of times.
Well, and then you just answer your own question by saying they're the dumber gender anyway, leading into that. So, but yeah, so I wanted
I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Well, and what I wanted to kind of wrap this whole thing up with the Judson Hamby coming up here in a sec is that when you text me after all of the chaos in the first, basically from minute 26 to minute 41, and you text me and you go, bruh,
Bruh.
Gonna be stuff to talk about. What's next for
Yeah.
Soccer for USPOD?
Off this week because I'm traveling. I get to go to one of your favorite places in the world, Hoover, Alabama. And next week we'll be previewing the fact that our roster drops very, very soon. So that'll be the theme next week: is who is actually on our roster. Whatever number 55 provisional roster is out this week. I'm trying to remember my dates if it's this week.
I think it's Friday in New York.
Well, the provisional roster
of
the I think is this week. It's either this week or it's got to be this week.
I think it's Friday morning or something like that. It's some big to do in New York City or something.
And then the full roster will come out in New York City on Memorial Day, I think, or something like that. Anyway, so that'll be what we're doing next week. Is who's that provisional roster for us? Trying to build that so that because that's what you pick for your World Cup roster. So that's our theme for next week.
Well, as always, my friend, great to break stuff down for you and with you and kind of see where your brain is. And it's always entertaining. And I know that it's always something that folks gravitate toward here on Mondays.
Yeah.
It's great to see you, my friend, and enjoy Hoover, Alabama.
Bye, y'all.
There goes Bart. Ooh, boy. Yeah, Hoover, Alabama. And Bart Keeler. That's a combination for you. So like I said, there are issues that a lot of us had involving the crew in particular. Like I said, I don't know what VAR was doing. I don't know what the VAR conversation was, if there was any. Hey, go look. Nah, I'm good. You're good. Okay, cool. Was there static on the line? The call you're trying to make at this time cannot be made. Was that it with VAR? Was it, was there nothing? Did they all agree? Then you had, like I said, I will agree to disagree with Bart when it comes to the layout of that particular moment with Galarza and with Marcinkowski, because I thought that the ball, as I was watching it, was going over Marcinkowski's head and not over Galarza's. And Galarza did tug, yes, but JT Marcinkowski milked it for all that it was worth. And you end up getting the disallowed moment there for Atlanta United and the goal across the board. And then, like I said, then we end up with the cascading events from there, and you look at how it's going to go. So, not the first time. Wow. Let's see. So what do they tell me now when it comes to let's see, what do they tell me? Yeah, so we're trying to get Judson Hamby in here, and the link is being blocked by his computer inside the building at Oconee County High School. So not necessarily a surprise, but it hasn't been that difficult in the past. Let's see. If you go to your phone, let's see, Android, let's see, log in through Chrome, iOS, log in through Safari. Let's see, Safari. All right, so if I could spell Safari, let's see, I hope that helps. All right, so if you go to your phone, all right, so I'll send that note. So Judson Hamby, the computer system at Oconee County High School the firewalls are blocking him at the moment. He is not the first person to experience this. Philip Thomas at River Ridge had his blocked as well. And so if we have to catch back up with Judson, and I will tape something, and we can do that after the show is over, then we could do that too. If I could spell the word if, I'm going to give him an alternative because we might have a lot of tape content this week too with coaches. We can try. Okay, and so this is once again, as David says, sausage. Our as we go off the air. All right. So, like I said, then there's other stuff to get into. Like I said, it might be an early start tonight for soccer over there because of everything going on. I know we've got to tape some interviews in the 6 o'clock hour after practice. I know Alex Zimmerman is going to be taped from East Hall after practice around 6 o'clock. And if we're a little early tonight with SOT, like I said, you got promotion in the EFL. Rochdale has made it. We'll have that call. We have Old Firm to get into. We have history in Germany to get into. We've got a great relegation battle if you're into that kind of thing. And I know that Dell likes to have this chaos last as much as possible. Dell, you want chaos? Go to Germany in the Bundesliga because they've got chaos that's going to be lasting to the bitter end. And it's like multiple teams and multiple positions. So we've got that to look into as well. Let me get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all those things. And reminder at noon, Red Clay is going to be on, and we're going to go rapid fire with coaches, usually about every 10 or 15 minutes. Rob Houston from Greenbrier. It's going to be Clayton Schmidt from Holy Innocents, Chad Griffin from Hebron, Justin Brantley from Islands. And let's see if we have the voice of Judson Hamby with us. Coach, you got your ears on. Coach, can you hear me? I got the weight room there. And so let me put Coach in. Coach back in the green room quickly. Because he's out in the either in the gym or the weight room or both, and we're trying to get that signal so I can hear him. I just can't see him, and I will take hearing over seeing in these situations, considering how incredibly busy these coaches are this time of year, and trying to navigate planning periods and all these kinds of things to try to navigate catching up with coaches as they are trying to chase after championships. Let me see if we can hear Coach Hamby here. Coach, you got your ears on. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I think it dropped.
He's still fighting it. Okay, so Coach is still fighting it and trying to get a signal out of the gym. And so, like I said, we will effort Coach Hamby, and I'm going to keep an eye on him in the green room and see when we can hopefully get a conversation with Judson Hamby as Oconee County gets ready for Jefferson when it comes to the matchups coming up starting tomorrow, and we can have these catch-ups with all these coaches. We're going to try to catch up with as many coaches as possible, starting here and working our way through. Whether if you win a championship, chasing after a championship, I'm going to try to have as many of them by Friday as we can, because Friday being the last day of the tournament of itself. Let me see if Coach Hamby is. Coach, you got your ears on. Coach is still trying to fight the signals in the gyms and the weight rooms there at Oconee County High School up in Watkinsville. So we'll try and keep working there. Okay, so now I'm getting the spinning wheel of doom, and that's never a good thing. So we'll try there. All right, so what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, and helps you. Adds to stream more matches than you've had previously. And it gives you the opportunity to have a bunch of different places and a bunch of different places you might not have known that you could stream matches. You get all the BNs, BN in Espanol, all the BNs across the planet, Middle East, North Africa. You get all the BNs, which means you get Polish League, French League, and you get Turkish League. You get everything AFCON, everything CAF, Champions League, all of that. Polish League's today at 1 o'clock. FS2 is the league we don't talk about at 2. Monday Night Football, USA, Spurs and Leeds at 3. ESPN Deportes, Rayo Vallecano, Girona is at 3. Serie A is at 2:45 on Fox Deportes. Universo simulcasting at 3 on Premier League. La Liga, Rayo Vallecano, Girona is on ESPN+. Fox ONE has the league we don't talk about. English Championship playoff, Millwall and Hull Cities at 3 o'clock on Paramount+, along with Serie A, Napoli, and Bologna. and that is what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. So that is, like I said, limited schedule, but you got playoffs and you got a bunch of different things that are locked in for you, and you get to chase after championships, and you get to see who is going to be heading to either heading up or being relegated, what have you, and keep an eye on all of that. Like I said, Dell, if you're into relegation battles, definitely go to the Bundesliga, because it is absolutely crazy that you have 3 teams at 26 points, and it is going to the bitter, bitter, bitter end of that season to figure out who's going to be doing what. Liverpool showing interest in Monaco forward Magnus Akliush, according to L'Equipe, considered as a possible replacement for Mo Salah. Liverpool have not been deterred by Monaco's demands for a €50 million transfer fee to sign the right winger, 6+7 in Ligue 1 this year, but he could get competition from Spurs if they stay up. Liverpool monitoring Lens midfielder Mamadou Sangare, who continues to impress in Ligue 1, according to Nicolo Schira. Juve's Andrea Cambiaso, a target for Manchester United, Arsenal, and Liverpool, according to Team Talk. Reportedly ready to move on in the transfer window. United actively looking for a left-sided defender, previously linked with City, has a contract until 2029, meaning that the Bianconeri are looking for a fee in excess of €60 million. Real Madrid are going to have to offload folks if they're going to make any new signings, according to The Athletic. Madrid expected to bring back Como midfielder Nico Paz for a clause of less than €15 million, but they've got to balance their books, and that means that Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Ceballos might have to depart or be allowed to depart if that's going to happen. Also, West Ham won a fee of £84 million from clubs looking to sign Mateus Fernandes, double what they paid to sign him from Southampton last summer, according to Football Insider. Manchester United most heavily linked as they looked at ways to bolster their midfield, featured in 34 of 36 matches. Relegation could be on the cards. He could stay in the top flight. Liverpool have made contact with Real Madrid officials to quell any doubts they might have about the potential appointment of Xabi Alonso to replace Arne Slot as head coach this summer. AS claims that with Slot under pressure, officials from Anfield have been calling to make background checks on several options, which include Alonso, former Liverpool midfielder dismissed from Real Madrid after 6 months in charge, which altered the perception of the success he had at Leverkusen, according to the 4-letter, also linked with Chelsea. Liverpool appeals to PSG on Bradley Barcola, France international set to enter the final 2 years of his deal. Le 10 Sports. Manchester United receiving €44 million from the permanent transfer of Rasmus Højlund next week when he joins Napoli after the loan. 14-6 this season, according to Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United and Arsenal's Henrik Mkhitaryan considering retirement, waiting on a decision from Inter Milan over extending his contract, which expires this summer. That's also Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United have dismissed suggestions Mamad Diallo could leave the club this summer after leaks emerged about a possible exit. That's from Team Talk. Everton have opened talks to extend the contract of Beto as he has entered the final year of his deal. That's from Nicolo Schira. Ferran Torres could leave Barca this summer, scored yesterday in the derby, with AC Milan, Villa, Newcastle all eyeing a deal for the versatile forward. That's from Ekrem Konur. Juve advanced talks over a potential move for Liverpool keeper Alisson Becker. That's at Talk Sport. Kieran McKenna increasingly likely to leave Ipswich this summer if an offer arrives. Crystal Palace and Fulham have been linked. And from the 3-letter paper, once again, McKenna has landed 3 promotions in 4 full years. The payment would be in the neighborhood of £8 million to spring Kieran McKenna from Ipswich. Mikel Arteta closing in on a contract extension at Arsenal until 2029, which would take his stay at the Emirates up to about 10 years, according to Nicolo Schira. West Ham expecting offers to sign winger Crescencio Somerville at the end of the season as he continues to impress despite relegation fears. That is from Football Insider. Also on the board, looking at our buddy Ben Jacobs, and we know that he is traditionally busy this time of year. Ben, this morning, saith the following, according to our friends at GMS. And Give Me Sports, Real Madrid are in advanced talks to hire Jose Mourinho after El Clasico. Understand that Mourinho's agent, Jorge Mendes, has already held discussions with Florentino Perez. Further meetings are scheduled after the El Clasico. Mourinho insists he's had no direct contact with Real Madrid, adding that won't change until the end of the season. Beat 2, 3, 4. Just because Jose Mourinho has had no direct contact does not mean that agents haven't. Quoting Mourinho, I had no contact whatsoever, neither with the president nor with any of the important people in the structure. And by my own decision, a decision similar to others I've made throughout my career, especially now in the final stages of the season. I don't speak to anyone. Once again, this all may be factually accurate. That does not mean that Jorge Mendes isn't talking. He continued discussing it, publicly downplayed a Benfica exit this summer. Mendes continues to work on a return to the Bernabeu. Perez, who's driving the next Real manager appointment, will ultimately take the final decision. So that's from Ben Jacobs over at Gimme Sports. FIFA has launched their 2026 World Cup Technical Study Group, brainchild of Arsene Wenger, led by Pascal Zuberbuehler, Otto Addo, Tobin Heath, Jurgen Klinsmann, Jane Ludlow, Michael O'Neill, Gilberto Silva, Jean-Dal Thomason, Paulo Wanchope, Aaron Winter, Zabaleta, and lead of Football Performance Insights, Tom Gardner. They're going to analyze all 104 matches, either in stadium or from a performance suite in Miami, and provide real-time updates to fans. They confirmed the officials also for the Champions League final. Daniel Siebert from Germany, along with Jan Seidel and Raphael Fulton, his ARs. Sandro Schurer from Switzerland is the fourth. Reserve AR, Guadalupe Porras Ayuso from Spain. VAR is Bastian Dankert from Germany. Robert Schroeder is the AVAR, and VAR support is Carlos Del Cerro Grande from Spain. We mentioned Napoli's £38 million conditional obligation to buy Højlund. Once again, if they qualify for Champions League victory tonight against Bologna, will almost guarantee a top four, 14 goals, all comps this season. Beth Mead, and this was the one thing that I didn't get the chance to talk to Bart about. Beth Mead is leaving Arsenal at the end of the season when her contract expires. 265 appearances, 86 goals, 9 seasons. She has won a Women's Champions League, 1 WSL title, 3 League Cups, and 1 FIFA Champions Cup. Manchester City are in advanced talks to sign Mead this summer. So Beth Mead could be going from Arsenal to Manchester City starting next year. Espanyol have confirmed that Monchi is going to be their next sporting director. And we mentioned Juve currently in talks with Alisson. And the keeper is open to join Juve from his time at Liverpool. Once again, Swiss Ramble has a deep dive into FIFA's finances that might be required reading for the day, as impact on Club World Cup and where the governing body spends its money. And so if you like Swiss Ramble, I would recommend perhaps checking in on Swiss Ramble to let you know what's going on, because they do have the in-depth knowledge and look-sees about everything that go on. They look at economics, and they pull no punches. So Swiss Ramble now has something out on FIFA. Last night, Major League Soccer, James Rodriguez asked about him retiring, people saying that that's just for clicks. And that was his response, basically. No, I'm not retiring after the World Cup. That's for clicks and for people. I know what my decisions are. And he had post-match last night to discuss that after his term was there. Chronological order from the World Cup headquarters and from our friends at Roubet. World Cup squad announcements start May the 11th with Bosnia-Herzegovina. Some ones of note: the 14th is France. Brazil is May 18th, Portugal the 19th, Switzerland the 20th, the 21st, Germany, Morocco, and Norway. England on the 22nd, Netherlands, Spain on the 25th. The U.S. will announce their roster on the 26th. Colombia, May the 29th. Australia, Croatia, and Mexico are on June the 1st. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I have missed. Let's see. It's 55 names, but not quite 55 names. Let me see if Coach went out to his car. Coach, you got your ears on. I saw you briefly, and then you disappeared. I cannot hear you. Now I can hear you, I think. Coach, you got your ears on out there.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, there he is. You made it. I got you.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I had to step into my car.
No, it's what. No, I just wanted to catch up with you really quickly, and I appreciate you stepping out to your car to do this. It's another fantastic matchup at the end of the year. Ranked number 7 in the state, number 9 nationally. You're going up against Jefferson. What's been study hall been like getting ready for Molly McCarty all over again?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for covering high school soccer as always. we're excited about the matchup. It always is that this game never disappoints. It's a healthy, fun rivalry in regards to us and our relationship. And as far as the game, yeah, we've been just trying to prep for tomorrow, and little things and here and there as we get near the end of the season that you just kind of tweak to help the team.
You've only given up 14 goals all year in 22 matches. Obviously, it speaks to your defense. What has it been like looking at them shine the way that they have this season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a good mix of youth with some senior leadership, and Sophia Clifton, who has been a 3-year starter, that has really helped our leadership in the back. And I think after the first regular season game where we got absolutely obliterated in the second half by Johns Creek and giving up 5, I think we kind of started taking a little bit more pride in our team defending, and I think also just our attack. Being a little bit more attack minded also help us to keep the ball away from our defending end. But as far as the group, they've done a great job all year in regards to taking pride in that. So it's definitely helped us in some tight games.
How hard is it to win 21 in a row?
Really hard. We have taken some games that you always have a little bit of luck through the season, and you also had some games where I think about Parkview, Mill Creek, even the Jefferson the first time, where I felt like, to be honest, we were outplayed in a lot of stretches of those games. And, I think important thing is sometimes you've got to, goals sometimes change momentum. And I think as we were able to get on the right side of some of those times, I think it changed the game and in those moments, and it really helped us in pulling some of those games out for sure.
When you look at the run that you've been on here in the postseason, obviously there are things that you want to work on each time through. What did you learn about yourself in this run, specifically in the playoffs, that you think is going to help you out against Jefferson tomorrow?
Yeah, even outside of the playoffs, I would say our non-region schedule, I felt like, has really helped prep us for this, because playing some difficult teams, you find out a lot more about yourself. And then I think in the playoff run, I think the positive has been that we've had a lot of kids that have the last year has really been through that already. So they've kind of used to that little bit of that routine and grind of that 3.5 week season, small postseason. And I would say just resilience. I think early on in the playoffs, we dealt with a little bit of injuries, dealt with a little bit of kids dealing with AP testing, grades, things like that. That I think that that you just have to go through, and it's part of it. And but I think they've done a good job, as that quarterfinal and semifinal week is a really hard week for all teams that are playing, because you only really have about a day to prepare for your semifinal and a day that you've got to really get recovery coming off the quarterfinal. And so I think they've done a good job of paying attention and listening to details. So that's important.
So if someone goes to Duluth and they're seeing you for the first time, what would be some of the players to focus on for someone in this great matchup with two great rivals? Who would folks naturally gravitate toward? I guess time to brag on your team a little bit when it comes to who they're going to be seeing tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah, I would start with Sophia Clifton. She's a pretty solid rock for us in the back. She is committed to Appalachian State as a junior, and you'll notice her real quick because, her leadership and on the field and demand. And I would also say Sydney Jackson's a junior, Hoping she's going to play at the next level. She's had a phenomenal year. I want to say 22 goals and I want to say 18 assists maybe. She's been really important for us and connecting a lot of our team and having success. And then, obviously, Drew Martin and Maddie Cass have both had great years of just really, pushing teams right on the edge, the ability to create havoc, the ability to create scoring chances, and they love to just get near the goal and find the good areas to pick up the ball. And they all have done a great job of picking up. We lost Sarah Worth, who was a big piece to us early in the season with an ACL, and the team has really had to respond from that because that was an all-state kid that really had a phenomenal year last year. And so I think the team has stepped up from that. Another one is a freshman, AC Hall. She's had a great year as a back and as a midfielder, and has really shown a lot of grit to step in as a freshman, similar to Maddie last year.
What are you the most confident about going into this matchup tomorrow, and what concerns do you still have about going into this matchup?
I'm confident that it is going to go down to the end. It always does. I am uncertain of, I think for both of us, we will, it's like a chess match, and uncertainty would be not only for me, but for her. How does she change things from our first meeting? And then, for both, I think both teams have been in this for a long time now, and as far as the program goes, and I think both are, going to step up to the occasion, and that's important for the fans. That's important for the communities.
And we cannot wait, because to kick off the entire tournament at Duluth, it's going to be the two of you, Oconee County and Jefferson. Coach, thanks for scrambling and getting a signal out there in your car. I know that firewalls are a devil. Just ask Phil Thomas up at River Ridge about it. He's having the same issues too. So not the first time.
Absolutely.
But thanks for dropping by. Be safe and have safe travels down to Duluth. We'll be keeping an eye on you tomorrow.
All right. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
There goes Judson Hamby, the head coach for Oconee County. And if he needs a note, if I kept him from class past 11:05, and if he needs a note, I will make sure to get him one. So he just Judson, just reach out if you need a note. Please excuse Judson for being late to class because he was doing an interview. But that's going to be a great matchup. This is going to be two great ambassadors of the sport in the state of Georgia kicking things off at Duluth. Tomorrow, once again, remember, it's going to be Maddie and Jason. They're going to be at Duluth for the 3A matchups. Nick and Justin Hanover are going to be at St. Pius for the private matchups tomorrow, 5 and 7:30 on both. NFHS Network on both. And then Luke Winstall and I will be Class A, D1, and D2 on Thursday and Friday at Upson Lee, 4 and 6:30. But St. Pius tomorrow starts the private championships on Tuesday, 5 and 7:30. AA championships Wednesday, 5 and 7:30. Duluth, Tuesday's your AAA. Wednesday's the 5A. 6A on Thursday. 4A is going to be Nick and Justin at Duluth, 5 and 7:30 for the Quad A championships, because Maddie has Georgia Impact and Jason's going to Orlando. So that's your breakdown, NFHS Network. Or just go to St. Pius, go to Duluth, enjoy the games. If you're in Middle Georgia, come see us at Upson Lee. I know it's going to be great crowds for all of those matchups in Class A, Division I, and Division II. Just to let you know, tomorrow, once again, Oconee County and Jefferson leads it off. Holy Innocents and Wesleyan on the girls' side. Like I said, we're going to catch up with Clayton Schmidt as a part of the noon show. And it is at 7:30, Islands and East Hall. I think we're taping the interview with Alex Zimmerman around 6 o'clock. So that'll be airing tomorrow. And Justin Brantley is going to be with us in the noon show at about 12:45. Tuesday, 7:30, Whitfield and Hebron. I believe we are catching up with Coach Hellier from Whitfield tomorrow at 10:30. And we're catching up with Chad Griffin coming up in the noon show. He'll be at 12:30 as well. That's your Tuesday grid, and we will go from there. So once again, Rob Houston from Greenbrier at noon, Clayton Schmidt, 12:15, Chad Griffin at 12:30, Justin Brantley at 12:45. That is going to be Red Clay Monday, and we are efforting a bunch of other coaches to either be with us on tape or live that we will try and run for you as part of our coverage of the high school championships here on the network. So let me say hi to everybody. Morning, David. Morning, Wiley. And let's see, where else am I missing here? I saw Abby. I know that Abby was in. I know Michael Head was in this morning. And Bart obviously was kind of keeping an eye on things before he joined us at 10 o'clock. And so let's see, there's Abby, there's Michael, there's Ricky, and there's Lokeville. And then so, yeah, Lokeville. If you want to listen to the ref discussion, you go to 92.9 The Game, and they have taken the full-time report, and it's in the Off the Woodwork podcast section at 929thegame.com. So if you ever miss any full-time report, wait about 24 hours, and the full-time report will pop up on 929thegame.com in the podcast section, and then go Off the Woodwork, go in there, and full-time report will be there so you can listen to it then. And then so Morning Ricky, and of course the end all letting me know that I'd hit the mute button off the top and I'd forgotten to unmute myself. So once again, noon, Red Clay Monday, 4 coaches, 4 time slots, and then we are out the door for today. Doctor's appointment, keep your fingers crossed. Tomorrow, once again, it's an opportunity to catch up with Kadani McAlpine from the University of Georgia. He'll be at 9:30. KCD at 10. Steve Hellier from Whitfield Academy at 10:30. We've got coaches that were kind of drifting in and out for the rest of that coverage as well. Red Clay at noon. We're stacking that show here as we go. So that is another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Back in about 40 minutes for Red Clay Monday. Start our real tour of what's going on in and around the state when it comes to the high school soccer championships at those sites on the NFHS network. So from everybody here to all of you there, thanks as always for dropping in on Monday. Since it is the end of the show for 40 minutes, I get to do this. Mucha Platial, play it safe, seat at the top of the hour. Red Clay Monday, presented by Kaiser Permanente.